Hi, Dhavall. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to talk to us from Master of Malt.
Thank you for taking the time to come and visit us at Lakes today.
So I know you weren't always in the world of whiskey. You started off in finance. Tell us about the story. How did you get from A to B?
It's a long story, but I didn't have a standard career path to whiskey making. So I started my career in corporate finance. So that was after I finished my undergraduate studies in America in corporate finance and economics. And I worked for a company called Ernst & Young in the mergers and acquisitions group. And then my boss and I were in Kentucky for a client engagement. And then rather than going back home, which we used to go every Fridays, so our engagements were Monday to Friday. So rather than going home on Friday, we decided to take a trip to Kentucky whiskey distilleries. And I remember that time there were 14 distilleries, and in 2 days we did all of them except one or two which were close to public. And it was at Maker's Mark Distillery on the footstep. I still have the photo. That's where I decided that that's a career I want to pursue, and I want to become a blender. I want to become a whiskey maker. And long story short, I went back. I decided to take that on Monday and started researching programs in whiskey distilling. Because I was coming from a finance and economics degree, studying brewing and distilling was quite different. It has more biochemistry, it has a bit of chemical engineering. So after researching a few programs, I decided to quit my world of finance, which was fun. And there are a lot of parallels I can bring out into whiskey making from there. And I looked a lot of modeling work that I use for stock modeling now. But I moved to Edinburgh then and enrolled at Hedithwaite University. I did my MSc in brewing and distilling. And then I went on to do my research in whiskey maturation. After I graduated, I wanted to become a blender. So there were not many opportunities in blending at that time. I could get a job in production in a distillery or work in a finance, but I wanted to become a blender. So at that time, there was nothing there. And I got an opportunity to work with Heineken, UK. So I started with Heineken as the graduate trainee. Then I was a brewmaster for a Heineken brewery in Tedcaster, and worked in different areas of Heineken, from new product implementation to technical process improvements in various roles at various different places for Heineken, from Edinburgh to Netherlands. And then I was at Amsterdam airport on my way back to Edinburgh, where my home was. I get a call from a recruiting agency that there was a whiskey blending opportunity at one of the major companies. And that was Macallan at that time. And then I got back, and the same week I got a call from another recruiting agency for another opportunity in blending. So there was a period of time where there were not many opportunities in blending, and then suddenly 3 opportunities open up at the same time. So I definitely was very interested, so I applied. It was a long interview process, going through sensory assessments, going through different things, strategy, and I got an offer from 2 companies. I decided to take the one at Macallan because I always loved Macallan, and I loved sherry whiskies, and nobody does sherry better. The research work, the amount of investment in cask, what Macallan do is one of the best in the industry. So I thought that's the place where I can learn and get more involved and understand more about blending, and at the same time sherry cask and maturation. So I started to work for Macallan as a whiskey maker up at Easter Elkey's house, and then I moved to Glasgow to work at the Edrington headquarters on Great Western Road. And while I was driving back to home from work, I get a call from Dr. Alan Rutherford, who is our current chairman, and he spoke to me about this project he was working on in Lake District. Boutique luxury whiskey company, and he said, just come and meet us, see the distillery. We are looking for a whiskey maker. And at that time, I was like, okay, I was at Macallan, and the whiskey maker for Macallan on the other side, there is this English whiskey company that is unknown. I didn't even know what to expect. But I always like to talk to people and understand. So I visited Lakes, and it was actually in the very same room that I first met Dr. Alan Rutherford. And when I came here, it was Alan, Nigel Mills, our founder, and Paul Curry, our other co-founder. So three of them met, and they told me about their vision, what they were trying to do here, what kind of single malt whiskey they were trying to create, and they wanted kind of my feedback about what I thought about it. And when I went back and I discussed, okay, how I would do things differently, what things I would change, how can the vision be brought to life in a way. And I got a job offer from Nigel Mills probably the following week, and I decided to take the risk, the chance to come and work for an unknown distillery. And there were a lot of things going on. I think Macallan was amazing. The people at Edrington is an amazing company to work for. The amount of research, knowledge you have in the companies, I haven't seen anywhere else. But what Lakes got me was a blank canvas. Macallan is an established brand. The whiskeys are already, created. And all you do is you maintain, and of course you innovate within the current range, or you create new ranges. But with Lakes, I had once in a lifetime opportunity to completely recreate or reformulate the new make spirit, and it was a blank canvas. And what the board of Lakes gave me was a complete carte blanche. You come and do whatever you need to do, whatever you feel, but it needs to take us to our objective of a world-class sherry-led distillery. And I thought that was something that was quite interesting to me, and I decided to move here. So I started with Lakes in 2016. So it's nearly 4 years now that I've been working with Lakes, and I have enjoyed every single bit of it.
So Heineken and your brewing background, that was just a stepping stone then to becoming a blender?
Yeah, I think not only Heineken was useful as a blender, the experience as Heineken, but also the experience in finance. Because as a whiskey maker, you are also looking at future. So right now I'm working on our strategies for 2045, 2050. And that is where my experience and knowledge from finance comes into play. Because the stock modeling experience, and also being a whiskey maker, you also have to have an eye on the cost, the efficiencies, the process. So that's where the Heineken experience and the Ernst & Young experience comes into play. So one is a finance led for use for modeling, but Heineken has been also very instrumental. Even though at that time I didn't, I was so impatient, I wanted to get into the whiskey industry. But working at Heineken gave me this exposure to how a bigger companies work. So a lot of people think there's more fun in craft. There is fun in craft and creating smaller products. But when you're creating 600 million liters of beer a year, the amount of effort, amount of attention you have to pay to quality parameters is just mind-boggling. And one of the areas that I really enjoyed was the fermentation, and it is using those concepts that I learned at Heineken that I have applied at Lakes, and to create our 3-tier spirit architecture, and using different yeast strains to create different flavor profile. So I always say, I think it was Steve Jobs who used to say that you can always connect dots backwards. And at that time it felt a bit, what am I doing at Heineken? I wanted to be a whiskey maker, but when you actually think back, every single experience I ever had, whether it was in mathematics or in finance or in brewing, has come to use in whiskey making at Lakes.